with us like you survived another year. Here we go. Well, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And of course, Shana Tova. Welcome, friends. Shana Tova. So good to be starting another year together with you. I'm going to invite Kat Connolly to come up and start us off with a reading on page 25 in the Machzor.
We are here on this Rosh Hashanah Eve, poised somewhere between what we have been and what we wish to be. We are here at this season of teshuvah, of turning, of returning to the self we have covered up behind the roles and masks with which we have learned to protect ourselves. We are here in celebration and in search, in judgment and embrace, ready to confront ourselves and the world in which we find ourselves this night. We seek to open the windows behind which we have hidden and to send forth hand and heart to hope where we have come, what we have become, and what we hope to be.
Every holiday, we begin seemingly the same way. As the sun is setting, we take a match and create a spark and kindle a light. I'm going to have Justin come forward, and tonight we kindle the lights not only of Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of a new year, but also Rosh Chodesh, a new month, the new lunar cycle, and of course Shabbat. So a lot of coalescing, and still the same number of candles, so have to do even more work to bring the light into those holidays. Page 28. Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, betzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat Ve'yom Tov. Grateful to be alive. Shechianu. Baruch atah Adonai. Blessed are you, source of life. Eloheinu. Centering us and kindling our lives. Shechianu v'kiyamanu. Ve'gianu lazeman hazeh. Thank you, Justin. Thank you for keeping the lights lit in this synagogue, too. If we put all of our attention and energy, kavanah, into one act, lighting candles, saying hello, listening, that would be enough. We might think of each of the prayers we're about to recite, each of the melodies we're going to sing and hear, the words and the silences we'll share, each as a form of lighting a candle. What are you going to light up in yourselves? What are you going to illuminate in ourselves, in the world? That's a metaphor for prayer. Shall we start?
Yes.
Let's rise. Gathering as a community. Page 62. Be seated. Welcoming the evening, receiving the darkness even as we usher in the light.
Holy One of blessing, your presence fills creation. Your word brings all night. You make the days pass by. The seasons go in circles. You separate the darkness from the light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv arvi. Keep us safe forever until the end of time. End of time. Holy One of blessing, your presence fills creation. Your word brings on the night. You make the day pass by.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Adonai Eloheinu.
Adonai Eloheinu.
Melech haolam.
Melech haolam.
Asher bidbaro.
Asher bidbaro.
Ma'ariv aravim.
Ma'ariv aravim. Ma'ariv
One day, wind, breath whirling over waters, and words, let there be light. And behold, light. And a separation, a distinction between dark and light, between voidness and existence, between avoidance and engagement. And a witness, consciousness, saw it, Vayar Elohim, and saw that it was good, Tov. And it name-called this one evening and that one morning, Yom Echad, one day. The birth of witness, of wakefulness and sleep, of light and dark, of this and that. And what was that light if the sun and moon had not been created? But love. Ahavat olam, with an infinite, enduring love. From the first moments, words, from singularity to plurality, there was love. Permeating us, we embodying love. That's what we witness when we say Shema. Page 78.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all of your mind. And these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart.
Page 75.
Shall be in your heart. Teach them faithfully unto your children. Speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise. Bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be a symbol between your eyes. Oh, write them on the doorposts of your
76 at the bottom, the Shema. 6 words in all. Like each Hebrew word, every Hebrew word bearing multiple meanings. Shema can mean hear, listen, or understand. Echad can mean one, unique, or alone, only. Our translation captures the sense of fidelity to the sovereign, but do we need to be reminded to whom we are loyal? Do we still need to assert one God in a world that has largely heard the message of monotheism? Perhaps the issue for our generation is more the nature of godliness. What can we identify as uniquely divine in our world and within ourselves? And how can we envision and articulate that uniqueness? This past year, we did a bunch of learning together, a whole series of taboo topics, at least one a month, and engaged challenging questions, from death to questions of reproductive rights. And as we turn to this year, we're going to do some learning from a book called God is Here, which invites us to think about, challenge our inherited images for the divine, and think about what other images and what other metaphors we can engage. In other words, what is uniquely divine in this world? On the printout, a little handout in green that you received, you'll see in the column, the second column, symbol, a series of metaphors for God. A spark, a cloud, waters, winds, magnetism, grounded, and space. The words of the prayer book, especially for the high holidays, are permeated with maybe even more challenging images for God, like King and Father. And so I invite you, when you come across a word or a phrase, see if you can find a natural phenomenon to substitute in its place, because all of those metaphors for God that we have in the prayer book started out as natural images in the Torah, as evidenced by the Shema and the V'ahavta, and the passage that follows the second paragraph, which talks about water. Adonai Elohechem, emet, emet ve'emunah, kol zot v'kayem aleinu, ki hu Adonai Eloheinu ein zulatenu, v'anachnu Yisrael amo. And then we ask, why do we light candles? Why do we say the Shema? Why do we gather together around these rituals on Rosh Hashanah? And then we find the answer. Page 89 and 90. Moshe u'Miriam u'Bnei Yisrael lechanu shira b'simcha rabah. Moses, Miriam, and all the Israelites, they broke out in song, abundant in their joy. And all as one, they sang a song of freedom. Mi chamocha. Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha bokeh hayam lifnei Moshe, zeli anu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, v'nei Echad Adonai et Yaakov, Ugalo miad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. Lay us down, mom's worry, child's wonder, work undone. Smiles and frowns, lay 'em down. Page 91 and 92. Put to bed both the pain and the pride, what we couldn't decide, words left unsaid. Put to bed. Hashkivenu l'shalom. Hashkivenu l'shalom. Hashkivenu l'shalom. Hashkivenu l'shalom, l'shalom. Lay us down neath the blanket of stars. Lay us down till we know who we are, who we are. Yerida l'shem aliyah.
Down to sleep, soon to rise.
Yerida l'shem aliyah.
Make peace with the dark to raise up its sparks again.
Hashkivenu l'shalom b'hamidenu. Hashkivenu l'shalom b'hamidenu l'chaim. Hashkivenu l'shalom b'hamidenu l'chaim u'shalom. And in Shabbat's space between, while we sleep and we dream, that our souls receive the Eitzah Tova we need to conceive your vision, our purpose, your peace. Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu l'shalom b'hamidenu l'chaim. Hashkivenu l'shalom b'hamidenu l'chaim. Hashkivenu l'shalom b'hamidenu l'chaim. Hashkivenu l'shalom b'hamidenu l'chaim u'shalom. It's said more than the Israelites have kept Shabbat, the Sabbath has kept us going in pursuit of this dream, this vision of lasting Shabbat, of lasting freedom. Vish Shamru, page 96. B'nei Yisrael, et Hashabbat,
לעשות את השבת
et yamim. Asa Adonai et hashamayim et haaretz v'shamru
b'nei Yisrael et hashabat לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת.
If you're able, please rise.
לעשות את השבת.
לדורתם ברית עולם. Two passages from Torah paired to invoke this sacred day of Shabbat, V'shamru, and Rosh Hashanah. Page 97, 98. Tiku v'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chagenu ki chok l'Yisrael hu mishpat l'Elohei Yaakov. I tried my best to do a shofar voice there because you don't get the shofar tonight, and not all that much of it tomorrow either because it's Shabbat, but hopefully it pulling out of you the voice, the inner voice, the kol dmama daka, the still small voice that we try to encounter and hear the whispers of in the Amidah. So page 103, the beginning of the Amidah, or if you want transliteration, page 324. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agite hilatecha. Open my lips, beloved one, let my mouth declare your praise.
Baruch atah
Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Aboteinu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'konei Yaakov V'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imot U'mevii Geula Livnei Bneihem Leman Shemo Melech hafetz v'chaim בספר החיים למענך אלוהים חיים.
מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן.
ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. We invite you to continue independently and can be seated at your discretion. ותיתן את השבת הזה ואת יום הזיכרון הזה ואת יום הזיכרון תראו באהבה Favor us this day, preserve us this day for life. Autumn. I'm reading on page 101. Inside me, the season is autumn. The chill is in me. You can see through me. And I am sad, but not altogether cheerless, and filled with humility and goodness. But if I rage sometimes, then I am the one whose rage is shedding my leaves. And the simple thought comes sadly to me that raging isn't really what is needed. The main need, achat sha'alti, is that I should be able to see myself and the struggling, shocked world in autumnal nakedness, when even you and the world can be seen right through. Flashes of insight are the children of silence. It doesn't matter if we don't rage aloud. We must calmly cast off all mere noise in the name of the new foliage. Something has apparently happened to me, and I am relying on nothing but silence. When the leaves, laying themselves one on another, inaudibly become the earth. And you can see it all, as if from a height, when you can shed your leaves at the right time, when without passion inner autumn lays its airy fingers on your forehead. May we be inscribed, written in the book of life and blessing in this New Year season. Page 124.
בספר חיים, ברכה ושלום,
ופרנסה טובה, ניזכר וניכתב
לפניך. אנחנו וכל עמך
Yisrael, L'chaim tovim, L'chaim tovim, U'L'shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh HaShalom. Page 125. Why don't you join us together? Dear God, protect my tongue from evil and my lips from telling lies. May I turn away from evil and do what is good in your sight. Let me be counted among those who seek peace. May my words of prayer and my heart's meditation be seen favorably, beloved one, my rock and my redeemer. May the one who creates harmony above make peace for us, for all Israel, and for all who dwell on earth. And let us say, Amen. We'll pause and offer a prayer for healing.
מי שברך אבותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. מי שברך אמותינו, שרה, רבקה, לאה ורחל. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, 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 and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love.
This evening we call to mind Ellie Verhey, Karen Bennett, Hannah Holstein, Maddie Epstein, Rabbi Steve Butnadav, Michael Bedwell, Susan Jane Keir, Mary Fitzgerald, James Block, Annie Hiddle, Bill Weisenborn, Robbie Glantz, Herb Schwartz, Andy Winkler, Stacy Magia, Sally Korf, Don Greenberg, Lori Feldstein, Ron Kleban, Tammy Kleban, Kathy Kaiser, Nate Feinberg, David Desch, Howard Weinberg, Robin Chalker, Mike Schneider, Nancy Friedman, Marty Diesenhoff, Stephen Bernstein, Susan Levin, Lawrence Fox, Ron Salzman, Yehuda Benjamin, Edward Cohen. Please feel free to sound out other names and place them in the chat if you prefer. Ron Moore, Marian Elrich, Ehrlich,
May the lifting of the sparks of our voices and the turning of the year bring healing to all those who ail, a healing of body, a healing of spirit. And let us say, Amen.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer. Hear our prayer and bless us as well.
I'm just trying to decide. I think I'm thirsty, so let's do Kiddush next. But first I want to thank our fabulous musicians, of course, Laura Berman, Sherry Rubin, our band leader, Steve Posner, Paul Cohen, Ari Gould. Aren't they giving our voices a lift tonight and sending prayers with their every note? So thank you for that. So the Kiddush blessing is way in the back of the Machzor on page 1197. And I've been, many of you have known me a long time now. Heard a lot of sermons for Rosh Hashanah. This is number 19, I think. Every year I struggle and my coach, my friend says, you get it too complicated. You got to simplify it. Right? Just too much stuff. So I really try to do that. So the sermon tonight is about candles. That's it. If you don't remember anything else. And tomorrow's sermon will be about challah. So we're keeping it simple. And now we got juice. So I'm going to sneak in some Kiddush, the blessing, right? This symbol, this amazing, so much packed into these rituals, right? I mean, just eons of history and symbolism and power and what we can tap with them, right? So what is in the Kiddush? You think about your associations with this simple act of sanctifying Shabbat, sanctifying a day, sanctifying a new year with a few words over wine. A symbol of joy, bounty, and I'll keep talking until I found the page number. There we go. So with your permission, friends. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Now I did a different melody than I'm used to doing. Haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher karanu levodato v'ramanu b'kedushato v'kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'ahavat yom ha-shabbat hazeh v'et yom hazikaron hazeh yom zikaron tirua b'ahava mikra kodesh zeker l'tziat Mitzrayim ki eleinu karate v'yatanu kidashta la'avodatecha Udvarcha emet v'kayam la'an. Baruch atah Adonai, melech al kol haaretz, mikadesh hashabbat, v'Yisrael, v'yom hazikaron. I think I got all 3 holiday melodies in there at some point. L'chaim, here's to a new year. So it's good to see you, and it's good to be seen. Each of you, eyes twinkling in these lights, the light of these candles,
So we say Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova. So it's a new year. It's a good time to check in. So how y'all doing? You're still alive. We're here. It's a good place to start, right? Where are you at? It's the first question to the human beings in the Garden of Eden. Ayeka, where are you? Where are you at? It's helpful to check in terms of last year. Right? Last year I spoke about letting go, reflecting on rituals of release, about getting divorced, about releasing the past into the past and receiving the future as something open and new, and the challenge and the power of letting go. So how'd you do? Do you feel freer this Rosh Hashanah than last year? Are you happier? Thich Nhat Hanh taught, the amount of happiness you have depends upon the amount of freedom in your heart. Freedom in your heart. Noticing that it didn't seem to take that long for God and Moses to compel Pharaoh in his hard heart to free the Israelites, I imagine that somebody spoke up and asked God, why do we have to wander for 40 years in the wilderness to get to the promised land after leaving Egypt? God says, it was far easier to take Israel out of slavery than to take the slavery out of Israel. Freedom in the heart. It turns out that freedom, especially freedom of the heart, that redemption, like creation and revelation, these are not one-time acts, but an ongoing process, slow, gradual, sometimes painfully slow. So where are we at? We're still wandering, still struggling to be free. It was easier for Adam and Eve to leave the garden than to find their way back. It was easier for our ancestors to leave Egypt and receive Torah than make it to the promised land. A country can declare independence and draft and sign a constitution and land in a civil war 80 years later and still be at it. Where are we? When are we? What's the score this year? 70 years ago, a reverend doctor stood on the steps of Lincoln Memorial and reminded us of a dream, a promissory note as yet unfulfilled. 50 years before that, 160 years ago, this fall, in an address at a bloodied battlefield in Gettysburg, a president would have to remind us of the terrible costs of freedom, praying that those sacrifices would not be in vain. The battles rage on in Syria and Sudan, Uganda and Ukraine, Tanzania and Haiti, in the courtrooms in Congress and in the Knesset, on the melting ice caps and storming seas and burning forests, on the streets, in our homes, and in our hearts. We're still wandering in the wilderness, in search of and in hopes of realizing that promise of freedom. We may no longer be in Egypt, but we are not yet free. Indeed, some days, these days, it seems we're headed in the wrong direction. I think you said that to me the other day, Renee. So what now? Who or what will show us the way? In the liturgy of the high holiday season, these 10 days of awe, from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, the sages offer us 3 guiding lights, call them pillars of fire, to guide us through the wilderness. 3 means of averting the devastating consequences of giving up, of backsliding, of turning our backs on a promised land and heading back to Egypt. 3 pillars of light. They alliterate them so it helps to remember. Teshuvah, tzedakah, and tefillah. Teshuvah. I think there's 2 types of teshuvah that I think we're pretty good at, actually. The first one is, teshuvah means turning back, or looking back, or turning back. The first one is in the form of study. Looking back and learning from our mistakes in our personal relationships over the past year and in our collective history, American and Jewish. Another form of teshuvah is returning to the natural world, to Sabbath with the land. These are both forms of teshuvah. And I'm trusting that when you're not here doing Torah study, you're out there doing a hike, right? The second one was tzedakah, acts of justice, voting, canvassing, marching, social work, legal work, political work, volunteering to help those in need, repairing the brokenness in our social systems, tikkun olam, tzedakah. And the third, which I think is a bridge between the 2, is tefillah, prayer, self-examination, working on ourselves, tikkun hanefesh, repair of the soul. In the umbrella of tefillah, I invoke all acts of spiritual or religious practice, like lighting candles. And I suspect in this crowd I don't need to make the case for the importance of teshuvah or tzedakah, the importance of learning from history and loving the natural world and getting out there and making the world a better place. You don't need me to tell you. Those are good. And although there's always more to do, you do not need to be convinced of their value or importance, because you're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing our best to do it at Beth Evergreen, to learn and to help out. And I suspect we're a little bit freer because of that work. But what about the other one, the tefillah part? You're here tonight, that's a good start. And at home and on your own? I love this question. How's your prayer life? How's your ritual life? You've been lighting candles, reciting blessings or mantras, reading Torah, baking challah? All the stuff we associate with religion these days. Are you still in? Is it still relevant? With the rising threat of religious nationalism, Christian nationalism here in the U.S., Jewish nationalism in Israel, Islamic nationalism, I can understand why one might consider the religion part of the problem rather than the solution. And there's no doubt that religion has been weaponized by those bent on preserving their privilege and power. The obstacles to and betrayals of freedom, justice, equality, and love that have been perpetrated in the name of religion are too many to count. And it is also true, and short-sighted to forget, that the advances of freedom, both in recent and distant history, were also done in the name of faith, in the service of religion. Those who led the efforts to abolish the slave trade, like William Wilberforce in the UK, they did so as Quakers and Methodists and evangelists. The likes of Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King Jr. were deeply rooted in and inspired by their faith and their upbringing as Baptists. So too those Jews who encouraged and joined them, like Abraham Jonas, who encouraged Lincoln to run for office, and Abraham Joshua Heschel, who famously marched alongside Dr. King. They too were rooted deeply in their faith. These are the lessons of history. As Rabbi Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory wrote, memory is Israel's seminar in the art and craft of freedom, and our rituals perpetuate our memory. So this day, this new day, this Sabbath day, the first day of a new lunar month, it's also called the Day of Remembering. So we remember and learn, return to history. This is tshuva. And if this journey, historical, religious, and natural, is at a crossroads, this journey to freedom, then perhaps more than ever, we may need this third pillar, tefillah. Because as hard as it is to deliver a people out of bondage, it is harder still to extract bondage from the hearts of the people. That's what tefillah is about. It's a regular spiritual practice, like candle lighting on Friday nights. Each service over the course of the holidays will take a close look at one ritual act, or avodah. You saw it on the green half sheet. And we'll explore different facets of each one, and each one, I think, as reflecting a different facet of freedom. Are you with me? So, let's turn to candles. Our first facet of freedom. Each year, not just on Rosh Hashanah, every holiday, Hanukkah especially, we light candles. We light and bless candles. Why? Nowhere in the Torah, of all the 613 commandments, mitzvot, is there a command to light candles or oil lamps at the onset of Shabbat or holidays. Nowhere. And yet, when we bless the candles, we chant, Asher Kidshanu b'mitzvotav. It's a mitzvah to light those candles. We override the Torah and make it a mitzvah, even if it's not in there. It's a divine command that also comes with a whole subset of detailed instructions. When exactly to light the candles, how many to light, who does the lighting, when to say the blessing before or after you light, what to do with your hands and your eyes and your heart. And why? Why begin every holiday, every year, by creating a spark, by kindling lights? Or alternatively, if you don't have a practice of lighting candles, why not? For those who do light candles at sundown for Shabbat or holidays, let me ask you why? Why do you do it? A show of hands if you do it to perpetuate a long-standing tradition. Nice. Other reasons? Shout them out. Joanne? To separate the work week from Shabbat, from the day of rest. To light the darkness. To bring family together. Jamie? I told you to. Who knew I had such power? Yes. Yep. In honor of the gift and in recognition of the temple, the ancient temple. Beautiful. Creating a sacred space where there is no temple. Wow. Yes, Eli. Something about fire I heard. You like fire? The beauty of fire, for the beauty of it. Lovely. Lovely. So, I'd venture to say that many perpetuate traditions like lighting candles because of tradition. So what if I told you that the act of lighting candles is, at its wick, more about revolution than it is about tradition, more about instigating change than perpetuating routine? The historical revolution, this practice demonstrates how women who had been marginalized from the center of Jewish public life took a center place. Women, through the act of taking a profane act of just waiting until the last minute before sundown to light the lamps in their homes while their husbands were off doing synagogue stuff, and they surrounded that act, just a relatively profane act, with a series of blessings and prayers for the well-being of their children. And it became so ingrained that the rabbis had to include it as part of the tradition. And now it's like, if you ask somebody, what do you do on Shabbat? It's candles, right? You light candles. That was certainly what I grew up with. We might not have challah or a fancy dinner or a nice dinner on Shabbat, but we tried to light candles on Friday night. So, what if the real reason, not just for the practice of lighting candles, but for all of the traditions, is not about preservation, but about emancipation? Indeed, this year, at the onset of Beth Evergreen's 49th year, its 7th sabbatical, I'm inviting you to join me in the proposition that this whole enterprise, the mission of Jewish life and Beth Evergreen and humanity as a whole, is about freedom. In his new book, Judaism Disrupted, Rabbi Michael Strassfeld makes this the central thesis of his spiritual manifesto. He starts by quoting the 19th century sage known as the Sfat Emet. He writes this: "The purpose of all the commandments, both positive and negative, that were given to Israel is so that every person shall be free. That is why the liberation from Egypt comes first before the giving of the Torah. The Torah teaches the soul how to maintain the freedom it got when it left Egypt. To be free in soul, in body, and in all that we have, this is the purpose of the entire Torah," he writes. End quote. If we accept this premise, how does that impact our experience, our understanding of all forms of Jewish life and practice? Making music, lighting candles, gathering for a new year. How might it shift our experience of all those practices if it's about freedom? Over the course of the next 10 days into the coming year, we'll be playing with this thesis that the whole religion thing, all this Jewish stuff, it's about freedom. Lighting candles, fire, freedom. Braiding challah, clouds, freedom. Dancing and casting by the seashore, water, freedom. Waving hands and spoken words, wind, freedom. Making a minyan and magnetism, gravity, freedom. And leaving a legacy, a stone on a grave, a rock, freedom. Through each of these 6 examples of spiritual practices, avodot, I hope to illuminate 6 aspects of freedom. And tonight, Sabbath lights. When the night falls and the skies begin to darken, God, Torah, tells us, Torah tells us that after God finished 6 days of creation, God retired. Stopped. That would have been the end of the story had not someone stepped up to do what God did. Let there be light. Whether we're dispelling darkness in Africa or Alabama or walled-in ghettos in Warsaw or Washington, someone has to kindle the lights, to offer a fiery push. 70 years ago, last month, Reverend Dr. King lit up the Lincoln Memorial with a dream of freedom. President Lincoln proclaimed emancipation on a rain-drenched cemetery, himself invoking the promissory note. of a nation that will give new birth of freedom. And tonight, on the 6th anniversary of creation, the birth of humanity, the candles on the cake are shining bright. Every human, as a descendant of Adam and Eve and Noah and Naamah, each made in the image and likeness of God, they send forth with a lech lecha to Avraham Avinu to leave behind the dark age of idolatry and the darkness of authoritarian regimes of Nimrods and pharaohs and kings, and to set forth on a journey to a promised land where freedom could ring from every hill and valley. In Washington, Gettysburg, Egypt, Canaan, even in Eden, someone needed to step up and strike a match and light a lamp that would become a beacon to the nations, a blessing to all nations of the earth, and someone needs to carry that torch. God starts the path, but the story ends there unless there's a courageous and curious Eve. The story ends there unless there's an Abraham and Sarah willing to pack up their tent and open it to new ideas, or a Moses exiled from Egypt having a burning bush light a fire under his aspirations, or a Lincoln, or a Georgia pastor. That's why. That's why we light candles, to carry their torches, to kindle their lights at sundown with 2 or more candles, putting the matches in the hands of women and children, and lighting first and then figuring out what to say. Shana Tova. The song that I asked Laura to offer us is a song that reminds us that in all this darkness, we have a light, a life that's good. And there are 6 elements in the song. Two arms, sparkling, circling, celebrating the new light. Heaven to ground me, the light of the heavens to ground us. Family, community calling us home. A way to get home, a pillar of light. Enough love to share, and a sweet, sweet song.
Standing here tonight by the candlelight, it reminds me I already have more than I should. I don't need fame, no one to call my name. At the end of the day, Lord, I pray I have a life that's good. 2 arms around me, heaven to ground me, and a family that always calls me home. 4 wheels to get there, enough love to share, and a sweet, sweet, sweet song. At the end of the day, Lord, I pray I have a life that's good. Sometimes I'm hard on me when dreams don't come easy. I want to look back and say I did all that I could. Yeah, at the end of the day, Lord, I pray I have a life that's good. 2 and a family always calls me home. 4 wheels to get there, enough love to share, and a sweet, sweet, sweet song at the end of the day. Lord, I pray I have a life that's good. Oh, at the end of the day, Lord, I pray I have a life that's good.
All right, I'd like to invite, we have Mike Schneider on the Zoom, I believe, and he's going to offer a greeting on behalf of the board.
Hi, everyone. I was hoping that Sandy and I could be here in person, but COVID had other ideas, unfortunately. So, as many of you know, I'm on the board and I'm the treasurer. So you probably think I'm going to be asking you for money tonight. Well, you're wrong. I'm going to leave that to the folks at Yom Kippur. I'm going to be asking you for something different. This congregation runs at least on two important things. One of them certainly is money, but the other one is you, the membership. You're very important in many, many ways. Obviously, if you didn't come to services, we wouldn't be able to have services. So that's the first thing, and maybe the most important. However, at Congregation Beth Evergreen, we have many, many different activities and functions that need to be served by the congregation. We have 3 paid staff members, but all of the rest takes place with your help. So, for example, currently we have a group of people who have been involved with really creating a sustainable landscape at Congregation Beth Evergreen. And all of that takes a lot of work, a lot of manpower. In addition to that, we have a mitzvah committee. My wife Sandy is on the mitzvah committee, and they're also very important in bringing meals to people, in dealing with other kinds of situations that come up medically. So it's important to have that kind of support, and that happens with the congregation members. Other things that we have the SLT committee, spiritual life team, and of course, we have the board. The board directs everything that goes on at the temple and makes sure that things are happening that the congregation wants to have happen. We have a finance committee that makes sure that the money is spent wisely. So all of these things require manpower. And so tonight, what I ask of you is to volunteer and to give of your time in the coming year. You know, the rabbi just mentioned volunteerism in some of the things that he said. And again, without volunteers, it would be very difficult to make this congregation run. So I hope that as part of your New Year's resolution, you will strongly consider becoming a part of this congregation by volunteering your time and your talents. And that's all I have to say tonight. I wish everybody Shana Tova, Shabbat Shalom, and hopefully we'll get to see you in person come Yom Kippur. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. Shana Tova. And speedy recovery to you and Sandy.
Thank you, Rabbi.
All right. Well, we have some concluding prayers for this evening, and then a few announcements. So let's start with rising for Aleinu and Ein Od. Prayers on page 1202.
Aleinu l'shabeach. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon HaKol. Natet gedula le'yotzeh b'reishit.
ונתן לנו תורת
אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. אין עוד, אין עוד, אין עוד, אין עוד. Page 1204, bending and bowing. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. אין עוד, אין עוד, אין עוד, אין עוד. Page 1206. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד כמו אחד. אין עוד, אין עוד, אין עוד, אין עוד, אין עוד. Please be seated. So, of course, another ritual, we take time following a service immediately to turn to extend comfort and condolence to those who have had losses recently. So I'm going to read the names of folks who have passed away from the community that we're aware of recently, and then I'll offer names of those whose death occurred at this time of year, yahrzeit. If the name I call out is connected to you, I invite you to rise so that the congregation can extend their support to you. So we remember Claire DeRoca, a member of the Musar group, Milton Horowitz, Steve Horowitz's father, Jonathan Kurland Wise, Sarah Hess's father, Leslie Lipstein, long member of Congregation Beth Evergreen, Sherry Lado, Angela Fitzgerald, Paul Gould, Joan Seiler, Jim Friedland, Seymour Hanan, Nicole Kasbar, Lisa Lardner, and Alan Perelman. The yahrzeits we're aware of, I see Arnold Picard and Steve Picard. His mother-in-law, Harriet, passed away also just last month. Manny Ernst, Nathan Alfred Gans, Lee Sobelman, Lee Gendler, Joan Brody, and Stuart Fox. Other names to include for Kaddish this evening. Yes? Lewis Cook. Martin Warren. Kara Pollock. Harry Barnett. Other names? Deb Wilson. Shmuel Gutenberg. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. The Mourner's Kaddish, page 1215 and 1216. There's an additional word inserted for the high holidays, Yamim Noraim, in this prayer, so just watch that together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chaye decho beit Yisrael, bagala uvizman kariv, v'yimru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Leolam Ulome Omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha brichu le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbichata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Amen. May the source of wholeness and life and light grant comfort to those in mourning and peace to us. And may we carry on the legacies that have been entrusted to us in their names. And let us say, Amen. Amen. You may be seated. We have a few announcements. Justin, I think Hovey, our co-president, is going to, while he's coming up. Just as usual, part of our tradition, on the red table in the hallway, you'll find an al-chet slip. That's an opportunity to put some of your regrets from the past year in writing, so we can all know what they are. No, they're anonymous. You put them in an anonymous box, and then at the end of the holiday, they get read aloud during the Ne'ilah service, and then during Havdalah, we take them out and burn them as part of our Havdalah ritual.
Am I close enough this time? Okay. All right. I'm Justin Hovey. I'm one of the new co-presidents here. It's good to see everybody here. Shana Tova. Is there anybody here that was at the outdoor service? All right, you get to hear some of my same jokes. So, all right. For announcements that we have, tomorrow morning we have our Rosh Hashanah morning services. The outdoor service will be at 8:30. 10 a.m. will be the indoor service. After the indoor service, there'll be a luncheon at about noon, give or take. We've got Jewish Standard Time, so you all can plan for that. Family service will be at 4 p.m. And then for Rosh Hashanah Day 2, there will be a 10 a.m. get-together at Lair with the Bear with an optional hike starting at 9 a.m. at that time. And then, of course, on the 24th and 25th will be our Yom Kippur services. Another thing that we're sort of just letting people know about and just sort of publicizing is that the space that we have here, the amphitheater, the sanctuary, the social hall, is available for people to have get-togethers if they need a larger space, those sorts of things. We have a few different organizations that are utilizing that now, but it's also available to congregants as well. Lastly, there is the Alternative Gift Fair that's coming in November. The Alternative Gift Fair kind of focuses on craft-type, nonprofit, homemade sort of gifts in lieu of buying holiday gifts, from traditional retailers, that sort of thing. And to sort of play off of what Mike said about our High Holy Day appeal this year, I'm not going to ask you all for money, so don't let your ears slam shut. What I just want you all to sort of think about is, the legacy that has been built and is carried on, over these first 49 years here at Beth Evergreen. And really what that means is you and we and us as a community, as one that builds that legacy and is that legacy, and how those sorts of connections and memories that we have together is what's going to be what carries us through for the next 49 or 50 years. So thank you all for coming, and I will turn it back over to Jamie.
Thank you, Justin. Okay, we'll conclude with our traditional blessing of greeting one another and wishing one another a holiday of protection and safety and light. Ya'er Adonai Panav, and peace. So.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
Please join me. May we be granted a new year of blessing and security.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha
Together, may the light of the source of life shine graciously upon us and gracefully through us. May the holiness reflected in your face elevate you and grant you peace. Now you got to sing the Hebrew with us. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. V'yasem lecha shalom. V'yasem lecha shalom. L'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana tova tikatevu. Sarah just can't get enough of opportunities to provide hospitality, so there's wine and challah on the back table. So we did the kiddush, and let's do the motzi together, and then we can enjoy, and make sure you find some honey to dip it in, and maybe a sweet new year, everyone. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. B'te'avon, Shana Tova, Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova.